Okay, welcome to another tutorial. In this particular one, what we're going to be looking at is inputs, in particular key inputs. So get key down, get key up, get key. We're also going to be looking at accessing components in other objects instead of just the one that the script is attached to. And we'll have a quick look at 3D sound and things like that. So what I've got here is, in this particular scene, I have placed a game object, and what we're going to do is when we press a key, this is going to play like a sonar noise, like a homing beacon, so that we can go and find it. Now what we'll also need for this project is, I remember right at the beginning I did tell you to download and install the characters pack. So that's right click, import package and characters, because we're going to drop in a standard first person. So go to standard assets, characters, first person, prefabs, and we've got an FPS controller, and we're going to drag and drop that in. Okay, so with this main camera and the FPS in, what we should notice is when we press play, we'll get an error in the console. I'll bring that up, which says there are 2 audio listeners in the scene. Please ensure there's always exactly 1. Now all that means is, if you get that error, is you forgot to turn off the main camera. So we're just going to deactivate that or turn that off, and that will sort out that particular error and it will disappear. So with our first person character in, we can go and have a walk around, and we can go and have a look. I think those footsteps are a bit on the loud side. We'll try and sort those out. What we're going to do is, can I make it 0.1? I won't. So what we're going to do is we are going to attach a sound to that particular object. So if we go and find the sonar, which is here, what we're going to do is add component and just as did before, an audio source, but this time it's got a spatial blend, and we're going to make that 3D. Now what that does is it sets the minimum distance and the maximum distance. So let's bring the maximum distance in to, I think I'm going to set mine at like 250, something like that. But basically what it should do is it should get louder the closer you get to it. What we then need to do is create a script that has got the audio source attached to it, but it will go and find that particular component from that object. So without further ado, let's create a new C# script. Got plenty of them now, and I'm going to call this one Sonar. This particular script I'm going to add to the FPS controller that we dragged in. So I'm going to drag and attach that. Right, okay, so here we have our script, and what we want to do first of all is we want to attach the sonar object to the script. We would simply do that up at the top with declaring variables. Obviously I just want to drag it in. It's going to be a game object, and I'm going to call it sonar. There we go. So does it not like sonar? I'll call it box. That's better. So what we're going to do is save that, and then in our inspector it should want to know which object it is. I think mine's in objects here. It's that one. Okay, so I'm just going to drag and attach that. So if we go back here, we want to find the audio source. So we're going to set up an audio source variable. We also want audio clip, which is going to be sonar sound, so it can play the sound. And when this script is enabled, we want to go and get the audio source. So before we wrote AS get component to find the particular component. Well, it was AS equals get component, because that component was attached to where this script is. However, this time it's not attached to the script, it's attached to this game object called box. So the audio source equals box dot get component. Then the type of component we want, which is the audio source, and we finish it off with open and close brackets and a semicolon. So that has set the audio source equal to not the audio source attached to this particular game object, but attached to the game object called box. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to get it to when we press a key, probably when we press E, then we want it to play this particular sound. So for the first time, we're going to have a look at the update function. In an earlier video, I explained how it worked. So the update function is going to run every frame, and we want it to check whether we've used an input key. So we're going to have a look just at an if statement. In the next video, we will be looking at if-else statements in a bit more detail. But an if statement says if, and then we've got some brackets where we put a statement, and then we have opening and closing curly brackets for what we want to do. So in here, inside the statement, we want to put input.get key down. And what that does is it's looking for an input from the user, and get key down, it returns true when you press the particular key down. We could also have get key up, which is when you press the key down and let go, or get key, and it doesn't just fire once, that fires continuously. Oh, there we go, that's handy. It shows you the three. So we want get key down. And just like normal commands, in the brackets we want parameters, and we want the E key. So if I press down the E key, I want it to play this audio clip through this audio source. Now we had a look at before, so that's the audio source. We set it here to equal the one on the other object. And we want play one shot, and after the command we have brackets to put parameters in, and the things we need is the clip we want to put in, which is sonar sound, and we want to play it at full volume. Okay, so if we go back to our script we've just created, not only does it want to know the box, it now wants to know the sonar sound, which I think, yes, I've got an old sub sonar. So when we press play, I should be able to press E. And as you can see, as I got closer, it got louder. Okay, so I press E, and it's actually playing the audio source on the box. Just to prove it, I think if we open it up, I can't remember which one it's on. Sometimes it will, oh no, we haven't loaded it in. But there you go. We can now access components and other objects. And if we have a quick look back at the script before we run out of time on this short video, accessing components in other objects, put the other object and then append the get component command. So that's dot. We set it to a variable, which we set up here. And in the update function, a quick look at if. So if and then open and close brackets to find out what we want to be true. The statement it's called. So if input.get key down is E, so if I press D down, anything between these curly brackets, do that. So it plays the sonar sound. Okay, have a go at that.